Today we're going to finish Orion's star quilt, named after the constellation and my son Orion. Well, the blocks in Orion's star are very versatile and they can be turned in many different ways. Karen Helsel aimed high for a glittery star in the dark night sky. Envisioning a swirling galaxy, Karen selected the whirligig layout. Well, the first light shimmers in a light blue metallic, while the darks contrast in deep tone on tone. It sparkles. It's huge, but it fits her king-size bed. Well, Karen said she just got so tired of being cold when her tall husband rolled over that she wanted a really big quilt. Well, the long arm quilting looks great in this overall pattern, and actually it is less expensive whenever you select overall as opposed to a hand guided. Oh, this quilt is huge, but I'm sure it's cozy. Well, Karen Pavone loves yellow. Her first choice was in fabric was the large-scale, multicolored print on green background. Well, the vivid colors of yellow, green, and pink were pulled from the detailed floral print. The zigzag pattern fits perfectly on top of her queen-size bed, and Karen said she just loves it. Now, this is another big quilt. But you know, you have to have nice big quilts if you want them to cover from side to side. Well, Angela Castro fell in love with this Christmas line called I Believe in Santa. The pattern is a traditional negative positive layout. Cheery red stars with light holly leaves and green Christmas tree balls sing out holiday cheer. It's just so fun. The pattern fits right on top of the bed. It's 16 blocks. It's 4 across and 4 down. Oh, another big quilt. Well, this quilt by Linda Parker has daisies dancing across it in the fields and furrows pattern. There's heavy contrast between the vibrant yellow and verdant green logs. To break up dark lines in the logs, Linda used darker values before medium values in the blocks. It looks great and it is stunning. Boy, everybody just loves this quilt, and yellow is so soothing. Well, adding fussy cuts changes the look of the quilts as well. Andy's fussy cut colorful ballerinas dancing across the stars and border. The soft pink and green fabrics were repeated in the logs. What a charming recital. It's just so much fun. And a beautiful pink ballerina feet on the back. It's just so fun. Well, Sue had a perfect fabric for fussy cuts, these cute little birdhouses with a matching border. She had to make her fussy cut smaller than the 4.5-inch center square, so she just scaled down the size of her star points and logs to fit the fussy cuts. Very cute. Her layout is what I call all sevens because the third dark strip is turned like a 7. Great pattern to use. So cute on the back. Well, it's fun to use one fabric for the stars with scrappy logs. Teresa Barnes made the fabric surrounding these stars out of layer cake, and the logs are from one jelly roll. Well, the logs were cut to size in a light and dark arrangement and then sewn together in the fields and furrows pattern. It's a classic pattern. Everything is used up, and even the border is made of the layer cake. Fun to do. Nice backing, easy quilting. Well, Sue made this one from a layer cake and jelly roll too. The blocks are scrappy in contemporary fabrics and set together in fields and furrows. Great layout. Sue purchased yardage for her border and used extra layer cake fabric for stars in the border. The possibilities are endless. Let's get started. Martha is a beginning quilter at Quilt in a Day, and she accepted the challenge to take 2.5-inch pre-cut strips. Now this is also called a jelly roll, and pre-cut 10-inch squares known as a layer cake and turn these into a charming quilt, and what a great job she did. Fun colors, scrappy looking. Everybody says, oh, this one is their favorite quilt. She combined the different colorways, the pinks, the blues, the yellows, the reds, put them all together with one coordinated star print. Now, this is actually extra yardage for the star, but these are all from the jelly roll. And then when she was done, she went and she cut the layer cake for the border, and even the binding is scrappy, and it's cozy as can be because it has minky on the back side. Just wonderful. Thick. Oh, keeps you really nice in the cold weather. And just when we didn't think there was one thing left, she came up with a pillowcase. This is part of jelly roll again, the very last strips, and this is layer cake. Now, if she had anything at all left over, she could have pieced it for the backing. It's so easy to do. Let me show you how. Let me just slide this out of the way, and I'm going to cut up the pieces that you need for the stars. Well, you need to get into your layer cake, and first sort out 6 light 10-inch squares and 6 dark 10-inch squares. Now, these are going to be used for around the dark star points. We're going to use the light here and the dark in this position. Mix them all up and make them scrappy. Well, since we've got all 10-inch squares, I think we are just going to layer cut and get it done fast. The first thing that I like to do is line up my 5.5-inch line and just cut right across, because the small square that you need is 5.5 inches square. So let us just take these aside, cut 5.5-inch squares, and that is for the single triangle on all of your geese. Layer cake, get it done fast. Now we need to have the 2.5-inch corners. You only need to have one for each of the lights. So let's just go ahead. We're going to work on 2 blocks at a time. We'll cut off a 2.5-inch section and then just turn it and continue cutting 2.5-inch squares. I like this layer stuff. I like to get this done quick. And this is what we have left. Oh, I know you can figure out something to do with this. Well, we do actually need to have more dark 3.5-inch squares. Each star uses 3. So let's just go ahead, cut another 2.5-inch strip right here, and I'm going to remove the light because we don't need the light. Let's just set that aside. This can be some logs. That would be great. And like a whiz, we can just take and cut 2.5-inch squares the whole way across. Let me just line up and cut in a stack. And this has to be a 2.5-inch square right at the end. It is perfect. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and take my 7-inch star points. This is my 7-inch square. It is the brown. And I'm just going to center all of my lights. I need to have 6 of them. And I'm going to center 6 of my darks. Draw the diagonal line, do all of my sewing, and get my geese all squared up. And then just start mixing up. How about light here, 2 light geese with 1 light square, 2 dark geese, 3 squares. Perfect. And then how about these? And you could also mix up red with the yellow. You could put this one with the blue, but make all your scrappy stars in the beginning. Now I'm just going to move this all away, get out my jelly roll for my strips. When I hear the words jelly roll, I always think about this, but it's actually this. It's really 2.5-inch pre-cut strips. And the thing that I just love is that they are already all color coordinated. You can just go right through there, count the strips that you have in each colorway. We're going from the white into the yellow, into the pink, and just roll it around and just feast your eyes on all of those beautiful colors. So I just opened my jelly roll and laid them out according to my colors, all stacked and ready to go. Now, this is the one scrappy star that I have. I have a yellow side and a blue side. So this time you don't assembly line, so you literally cut each strip to size. So let's just start. I'm going to start with the yellow. I'm not even going to get fussy. I'm just going to grab up this first strip, and all I want to do is just slide my ruler along, cut off that salvage edge. Nope, don't want that in my quilt. Now, the first strip we need is 8.5 inches. That is if your star is 8.5 inches. So I'm just going to cut it first, 8.5, and let's just lay it here and see. Oh, perfect. If your star's not quite 8.5, cut it to whatever measurement that is. Now, I do like to do each fabric twice. So I did one at 8.5, and you add 2 inches every time. So the next strip would be 10.5. So I'm just lining up my 6 by 24, 8.5 to 10.5. And when that is all done, those are going to fit perfectly. Now, we're going into the blue. Let's just put this back in the stack. We can use that for another part. I'm just going to grab up the next one. This is fun, not even be so worried about it. So trim off the salvage, get rid of it. Now this was 10.5. We need to have another 10.5. You always duplicate the number each time. So that's going to be 10.5. Okay, just keep on moving along. This one is going to be 2 inches more at 12.5. Oh, it's fun. Now you can do 2 all exactly the same each time as you go around, or you can just start putting anything in there. Now I have used this, so the next time it would be great to make sure we can get it in the front. We might only be able to use it once. Just mix it up. You know, don't worry about it. They all look great together. Well, you keep on going around the star, and I already finished them right here. So it was 8.5, 10.5, 10.5 again, 12.5. Take a guess. 12.5. Then we go 14.5, 14.5, and the last strip is a long one. It's 16.5 inches, and that should be the finished size of the blocks. So why don't I get some blocks all sewn together one at a time, and I'll show you the top. We're cutting up more layer cake. For your borders, stack up 14 10-inch squares. Now make sure it's a variety of colors, scales, textures, and also check for the stretch of the fabric. One side is stretchy and one side is stable. You can't even pull on it. But we want the stretchy side to go up and down. So when we add this to the quilt, ooh, it's going to go on perfectly. This time, take your layer cake and just cut 2 5-inch strips. That border is 5 inches wide, so that's 1 cut. Now make 2 stacks of all 14 and sew them together lengthwise so that you have something like this. Great variety in color. Make 2 exactly alike. It'll be easy to do. Now, for the binding, you need to have only 10. This time the binding is usually cut 3 inches wide. Check for your stable side and your stretchy side again, and put your stretchy side up and down. So we're going to do a 3-inch layer cut and just keep on moving right along there. This is fun. There's going to be 1 little extra strip. That's your challenge. What are you going to do with this? Well, take your binding strips and sew them together as well. And then once you have them all pieced, all different colors, take them and fold them in half, wrong sides together. Get them pressed nice and flat. This will be ready to go for your binding. Let us clear this away for that ta-da moment. And this is certainly a ta-da moment. Ooh, look at this. What fun. Beautiful. Only 6 blocks this time. 2 across, 3 down. Perfect for a crib. Now you're going to take the same fabric as the star and sew a framing border the whole way around the outside edge. Let me get this lined up just so. Now you have two border pieces that are exactly alike. So you start the same time right up here. You're going to take and put the red, say the red right in the upper corner. You'll have a big long piece. So the whole way down the side, trim and add whatever you have extra across the bottom. And then with the second strip, that is exactly the same. You start over on that side. Put it up, and then you come across the top so that they're mirror image on two sides. Well, I think this is just a great way to use up your strips. People always ask me what I do with my scraps, especially when they see me throwing them over my shoulder. Well, I actually begged this box of scraps off of my sister Patty because I loved her quilt so much. I wanted to make one just like her. So am I in luck? Look at that. Well, this is the quilt that Patty made. She made the Orion star and set it together in the all sevens pattern. It's just beautiful with the green on the outside edge and then with the white framing border and the wide large scale print. I love the quilting. She did some free motion quilting around the flower and just some easy curves through the star. So she didn't actually have to stitch in the ditch. And then there are feathers in a square around the block and set together. You can really see the quilting on the back side. It is just beautiful. Well, she loved this one so much, she took her scraps and this is what she did with them. Now this square, the little star right in the very middle, ends up being a 3-inch star. It's just so cute and delicate. She used exactly the same fabrics, and so they all came from her scrap bag. Well, you can actually do one too. You should really make one quilt with the regular size peaches and then just have some fun designing your own. Now it all depends on which geese ruler you select. Oh, I went to the smallest one that we have here. I'm going to follow these red lines on the geese, and the size, the finished size right here is 3/4 by 1.5 inches. Just such a little thing. But you can figure out what size squares you need to put together if you know the size of the geese, the finished size. So we start out with 3/4 by 1.5 or 1.5. The magic number is 1.5 or 1.5. Add 1.5 to this largest number, and the new number is 3. That's the size of the small square. Remember 1.5 again, or 1.5. Add that on to 3.0, and the new number is now 4.5, or the number for the largest square. So you can do this with any size of geese. So right here, the small square is 3 inches. The large one is 4.5. And the size of this little piece right here actually has the seam allowance included on it. Well, it's easy to see what size geese to do, but then you're going, what size are the centers? What size are the corners? Well, the corners are always the same size as the side of the geese. And then the center is always in this direction. It's always the width of the geese. So this one is 1.25. This one is 2 inches. Well, Patty did such a cute little fussy cut in the center. It was 2 inches square. So I have some of her fussy cut fabric. I have a 6-inch square up ruler. And you just select which flower you want to fussy cut and center 2 right over it. And I've got that little flower just lined up perfectly. That X marks the spot. So hold your ruler down and trim on 2 sides. And then you just pick it up. We've got that little bit of patch. Let's see if I can fold everything else out of the way so you can see. Now put 2 inches on the outside edge, 2 inches there, 2 inches there. Cut. And you've got the cutest little flower for right in the very center. So we've got all of our star points, our measurements, our corners, our center. How about the strips? We'll just take any 2.5-inch strips that are left over. This is just a tail. The salvage is even on there. So half of 2.5, let's start at the strip size, 2.5, half of it would be 1.25. Line up 1.25 and just cut every single scrap in half that you have. Oh, it'll multiply very quickly. So now I have my second light, my second dark, my third light, my third dark. And I'm going to just start, go right around that center and make the block just as I showed you in miniature. We are on a roll. This is the cutest quilt ever with 2 different colors of stars. They are only 4 inches square, and then they're finished off with 1.5-inch strips around the outside for their logs. Oh, and the light border frames it, pulls it all together with a red folded border and then a wide strip with red and white and all of the different colors in the fabrics. Great scrap quilt. I love it. Well, it's so much fun. I made it with 1.5-inch pre-cut strips. I made this whole quilt with this honey bun set, and there's even more left. Well, you're wondering what size geese to make. It's easy to figure out because basically you want to use the same width as the side of the geese. On this one, I selected the 1 by 2-inch finish size geese. Remember, you have to add your seam allowance, so it would be a 1.5-inch width. Let's see if you remember your math. If it's 1 by 2, you start with the 2 and add 1.5. So the smallest square is 3.5. Add another 1.5 inches, and your next square is 5 inches, so you can get those geese done. You know, you can't cut geese out of these honey buns, but how about using the 10-inch pre-cut squares? You could do scrappy stars. It would be absolutely wonderful. And then you might even have some layer cake left over. Whatever you have left over, just piece all of these together for your backing. You'll have the cutest scrappy quilt ever. It's no secret that I am wild about log cabin quilts, both old and new. I just purchased this antique log cabin quilt from Mary Ann Cunningham's Quilt Guild. Well, she showed it to me in front of a class and asked me to make an offer. Well, gosh, that's uncomfortable for me. I certainly didn't need it because I have plenty of log cabins, but this one called to me. Well, after hesitating, she said, "How about $25 for the quilt?" That's just the price I wanted to hear. Well, the workmanship is not great, but it has a certain charm about it. Well, the quilter consistently started out with red and yellow in the center. And then after that, everything went, but just keeping the block with a light side and a dark side. The quilt has certainly been loved, and it does need a little restoration. But first, I checked the backing. You know, it actually looks pretty nice. It's a very sturdy muslin. It's feed sacks. But if your backing has holes, you should repair the back before the front. You know, mine looks great, thank heavens. There are several fabrics on the front that have deteriorated. Now, the most noticeable ones are on the fold, especially the brown and the blue. Well, I looked through my antique fabrics to find matching fabrics from the same time period. Now, I found this piece for this spot. It's going to work great. I picked off as much of the fabric as I could and the batting without clipping the other fabrics. Now, if the cotton batting is extremely thick and you need to, you can add a little piece of batting on top. Works great. Well, next I measured the patch, and then I added the seam allowance. I cut a piece of fabric the same size, and now I'm going to just pin it in place. I'm going to line up the seams and just slip stitch around the outside edge. This piece just fits in there great. Well, I like to use a straw needle and wax thread called silamide so it doesn't tangle while I'm stitching. Works wonderful. I've already been working on this spot. I turned under the edges and slip stitched right along here. Well, once the patch is stitched down, it's important to make the patched area look the same as the rest of the quilt. So I'm going to hand quilt from this spot right across the patch to match up with the other hand quilting. Match up the length and the color of thread, and that's going to be the challenge for me. Well, check the binding. You know, because bindings often wear out, this is a separate piece of binding, and it would be easier to remove and replace than the binding that's actually part of the backing brought around to the front. You know, I got lucky because this binding is in great shape. It's all in a day's work, and a day patched with quilting seldom unravels. Enjoy your day.